VinFuture Prize, a new global science and technology prize for humanity from Vietnam. One VinFuture grand prize of $3 million. 3 additional special VinFuture prizes valued at $500,000 each. VinFuture Prize honors science and technology work that creates or has a high potential to create meaningful change in the everyday lives of millions of people. Join us to make a change for a better future.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and our beloved scientists. I'm Ming Yang, I'm the Communications Secretary of the VinFuture Foundation, and today it's my honor to be the moderator of today's webinar. And this webinar is exclusively tailored for the time zone of Europe. And please remember that after this one, there will still be 3 other webinars for Africa, Asia, and also Oceania. Please look at the chat box for more details. Ladies and gentlemen, after everything that I have shared with you, before we start, please mute the microphone to make sure that we have the best quality of audio and video. And please leave all of your questions in the chat box, and we will try to address all the inquiries of yours later in the Q&A session. And please also remember that we will record the meeting today for the note-taking purpose and also for our records. So please let us know if you have any objection. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, and our beloved scientists, VinFuture Prize established in December 2020. We are the new global science and technology prize originating from Vietnam. And we launched our call for nomination for the 2nd season since the last February 16. Since then, we are so grateful that we had the great support from all of you as our official nominators for the 2nd season. And today, the most updated figure that I'm having in my hands is 1800s. And you know, the figure has increased by 300 after just 5 days compared to the last webinar. However, I think this should not be considered as the pressure to all of you, but as the motivation for you to join us in this year's prize with 100% of your efforts and your focus. And as Professor Anandan said in one of our webinars, if you're the best, you're the best. So you don't have to worry about your competitors. Just think about what you and your nomination can do and can impact the world positively and can change our world to be a better place in the future. In the 3rd webinar today, we hope that we can support you with more detail about the foundation, the prize, and also the nomination process. I would like to introduce to you the panelists from the VinFuture Foundation for today's webinar. Please welcome Professor Đặng Văn Trí, Scientific Director of the Ludwig Institute for Cancer Research, a member of the VinFuture Prize Council, chair of today's webinar. Thank you for your presence. Let us welcome Professor Vivian Yam, Chair Professor of Chemistry at the University of Hong Kong, a member of the Pre-Screening Committee, co-chair of today's webinar. Welcome, Professor. And please welcome Professor Monica Cota, Associate Director of the Institute of Physics, Lab Waterguin at the University of Campinas, Brazil, member of the Pre-Screening Committee, co-chair of today's webinar. Thank you for being with us today. Especially, we would love to introduce to you our special guests for today's webinar, Professor Salim Abdul Karim and Professor Karaisha Abdul Karim, the 2021 Laureates of VinFuture Special Prize for Innovators from Developing Countries. And from the VinFuture Foundation, we would love to introduce my dear colleagues, the Prize Secretariat, Dr. Ming Yang, Dr. Việt Bắc, and Dr. Thanh Hiền. The agenda for today's session will include the inspiring talk with the VinFuture inaugural laureates. And then the talk will be followed by sharing session from Dr. Ming Yang, the Executive Secretary of our VinFuture Foundation. Next will be the sharing with the panel about the pre-screening and selection process. After that, there will be an introduction about the VinFuture Prize by the chair of the webinar today. And then Dr. Ming Yang from the Secretariat will come back and walk you through the nomination form so that you know what is the most important part to focus on. Last but not least, we would like to open up the Q&A session for all of your questions and inquiries. First part of the webinar today. Now, we would love to introduce to you the inspiring talk with our inaugural laureates, Professor Salim Abdul Karim and also Professor Karaisha Abdul Karim. Let's look at some of their image, some of their unforgettable moments in the inaugural VinFuture Prize Award ceremony. Our laureates were honored with the innovations of pre-exposure prophylaxis with antiretroviral to prevent transmission of HIV and reduce the burden of AIDS in Africa and worldwide. And today, I really want us to welcome two of our guests, special guests, Professor Salim and Professor Karaisha. Can you say hello to our audience, and do you have any updates on your work regarding communicable diseases?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you here today. Having been to Vietnam and to the VinFuture Award ceremony, let me assure you it is an outstanding event and one that we have personally found great pleasure and joy in attending. The standards are high, and so they should be. When we look at the work that we have done, it's contributed in Africa to the prevention of HIV. In particular, our work has concentrated on one of the highest risk groups that deal with HIV on a daily basis, and that's the high risk of HIV infection in young women. And our goal has been to try and find a technology that empowers women to protect themselves. And so from our initial discovery of antiretrovirals for prevention of HIV in young women in 2010, our current work is now focusing on broadly neutralizing antibodies, looking at long-acting injectable formulations to prevent HIV.
Thank you very much. I have to say that after the first year, after the inaugural year of the VinFuture Prize, it was the chance for us to know more about your innovations regarding the communicable diseases. And right now, we're really curious about any new plan of research and application that you would like to share with us.
So thanks very much. Greetings, friends and colleagues. It's really wonderful to see some of the familiar faces. And I think that's what's so special about the VinFuture Awards is you join an incredible, I would say best described as a family of friends and colleagues that make the event special, but also a wonderful opportunity to network with other scientists, learn new fields of endeavor. And for me, one of the unique features of the VinFuture Awards is not just about scientific discovery, but to also look at the global impact of these discoveries. And I think most other prizes that recognizes scientific endeavors tend to be on the front end, which is the discovery part. But what makes VinFuture so special is its global impact. So just to very quickly say, in our work, we're trying to address a social challenge of gender power disparities through a technology. And we've moved on from the ARV-based technologies to broadly neutralizing antibodies. And this particular antibody we isolated from one of our participants in a natural history study of clade C infection. We've completed some of the early non-human primate studies that show it is safe and efficacious against the non-human primate strains of HIV. And we've now completed the early clinical trials that set out to, one, establish safety, the first in human studies. Two is just establish the appropriate dosing to be utilized and look at those combinations, and that part has been completed. And thirdly, we needed to identify the frequency of delivering the antibodies to potential beneficiaries. And we now are at a very critical stage, which is the part where we're looking for signals of efficacy. And once we've established that, we'll go to the next stage, which is the proof of concept. And from there, the logical next step would be to look at multi-country studies. I think what's key about where we are right now is that taking it from the bench into the clinical trials, and even as the clinical trials get underway, to try and look at ways to optimize the production of these antibodies, both in large quantities, but also in terms of affordability of access. So too early to give you beyond that, but I hope it gives you some exciting bits to continue to monitor as we move forward with the next round of VinFuture awards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Karaisa. And thank you for telling us that your feeling of coming back to us, talking back to us as a member of family. Welcome back to the family of VinFuture Prize. And we are so curious, and we can't wait to work more with you and to have more talk with you about the new plan and about the new innovations that you are working on. And I think that there will be a lot of projects that we can work together in the future, in the very near future of this year's season. And I guess that today there will be a lot of nominators joining our webinars today and really care about the category of developing countries, not innovators. So I really want to ask you one more question about the competitiveness of nominations or scientists from developing countries. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think one of the things is that as scientists, we don't do research for awards. We don't do research because there's some prize at the end of the rainbow. We do research because we're trying to make a difference. We're trying to do research because we are hoping that through innovation that we can make the world a better place. And I think one of the things that I would encourage all of the people attending the seminar is to, unless and until you actually put an application in and put out there what you're doing, you will not forever, but you will always be considering yourself as perhaps you're not, at the top end of your field. But you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at how much your work is contributing and how this award is part and parcel of helping you get more attention for the kinds of impact that you are having.
And maybe to briefly add that I think one of the most exciting things about being a scientist is the hope we bring. And even though a lot of our award focused on our HIV work, our ability to pivot to COVID-19. So I think, part of these awards is to draw attention to the role science plays in society, particularly when facing disasters and challenges and emergencies, and how our science can be used for global public good and for the betterment of humanity. And in developing countries in particular, we face so many challenges. And this provides an opportunity, one, to draw attention to those challenges, but also the solutions that are being developed by developing country scientists themselves, and to be role models for a whole new generation of young people. And I think for us also to add that being, for example, in Vietnam and visiting some of the academic institutions has already led to us establishing collaborations where we're having bilateral exchanges and learning from each other and sharing. And I think as we think about ourselves as global citizens, as we think about global public health issues, this is the type of relationships we need. These are the opportunities that the VinFuture Prize Awards provide for bringing us all together as common, in our common quest to leave the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being a great example, a great role model for all of our other scientists who really care about the VinFuture Prize, so they know that what they can do and what they can prepare for the next category of innovators from developing countries in the next season. And thank you very much for your sharing. Come back to our webinars today. I would like to welcome Dr. Ming Yang, the Executive Secretary of our VinFuture Foundation, to continue the session today with the sharing about our country, Vietnam, our foundation, and also the founders. Please, Dr. Ming Yang.
Thank you, Chang. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ming Yang. I am the Executive Secretary of the VinFuture Foundation. On behalf of the Foundation, I would like to thank you all for spending your precious time with us today, and I hope that you will find this session informative and valuable. I'm going to start out today by sharing with you about our country, Vietnam, followed by the introduction about our founders and Ving Group. And then I will share with you fundamental information about the VinFuture Foundation. First, about Vietnam. Vietnam is located in Southeast Asia with a population of 96.2 million. Recently, positive transformation has been happening in our country, and we have been recognized as the new tiger economy in Asia. This is what we are very proud of. Vietnam is a dynamic country. Our people are friendly and welcoming. We work hard and we are very eager to learn. Second, I would like to share about our founders, Mr. Phạm Nhật Vượng and Madame Phạm Thu Hương. Mr. Vượng was born in 1968. After graduating from a Russian university, he started his first business, which later turned into Ving Group. In 2013, he was named by Forbes as a self-made billionaire who became successful with his own effort and hard work. Mr. Vượng is a visionary leader who has great passion to do things which make life beautiful for people. One of the sayings of Mr. Vượng that we do love and respect is what we say. He says, I don't care how much money I make, I want to build things that make life beautiful. In Vietnam, Mr. Vượng is a very respected person thanks to his philanthropy. In 2020, he was honored as the Forbes Heroes of the Philanthropy in the Asia-Pacific region for his significant contribution to Vietnam's pandemic relief. The co-founder is his wife, Madame Phạm Thu Hương. She is the standing vice president of Ving Group. Graduating from a Ukrainian university with a master's in international law, she has accompanied Mr. Vượng since the early days and has always been one of the senior leaders of Ving Group. Ving Group is now Vietnam's largest private corporation, focusing on three core pillars: industry, services, and social philanthropy. We have a track record of transforming new businesses into market leaders. You can see that we are the pioneer and largest player in any market we operate, from real estate, hospitality, to healthcare, education, and mobility. I would like to share with you that a week ago, VinFast, a company of Ving Group, built an electric vehicle and battery manufacturing facility in North Carolina, United States. This news was tweeted by the President of the United States. Now about the philanthropy of Ving Group. We are very active in promoting education, healthcare, and people development. In 2020, the Kind Heart Foundation of Ving Group donated more than $400 million to fight COVID-19 and contributed to other charitable activities. Ving Group operates Ving School, a not-for-profit K-12 education system with international standards, and Ving University, the country's first and only not-for-profit university with a mission to develop talents for the future. The group also funds the Science and Technology Scholarship Program for master's and PhD students in Vietnam, so hundreds of students can have the opportunity to study in the world's leading universities, such as Harvard, MIT, Cornell, etc. In the field of healthcare, Ving Group opened VinMec, the largest private healthcare system in Vietnam, pioneering in applying technology to provide the best healthcare to society. And now, I would like to share with you the mission of the VinFuture Foundation and the key activities that it involves. In December 2020, the VinFuture Foundation was founded and financed by Mr. Vu and Madam Hương as a not-for-profit foundation with the endowment of $100 million. The foundation's mission is to build a future where breakthrough scientific research and technological innovations empower people, positively enhance their lives, and create a more equitable and sustainable world for future generations. We are working towards the mission through 5 activities. First and foremost, it's the annual VinFuture Prize. The second activity involves grant-making strategy. Then, we also work to promotion activities promoting STEM and innovation-based curricula in the educational system. We also work on long-term partnerships with global institutions in science, technology, and industry. Now, I would like to call your kind attention to a very short clip about the award ceremony last year, so you can get to know a little bit more about us. The clip is in Vietnamese with English subtitle. Thank you.
Thế giới đổ dồn sự chú ý về Việt Nam khi lần đầu tiên nơi đây hội tụ những trí tuệ hàng đầu thế giới. Khi lần đầu tiên một giải thưởng toàn cầu được khởi xướng và tổ chức tại Việt Nam. 1.134 đối tác đề cử từ 71 quốc gia ở 6 châu lục. 599 đề cử được gửi đến. Trong đó 100 đề cử thuộc top 2% các nhà khoa học được trích dẫn nhiều nhất thế giới. 43 dự án xuất sắc, vinh danh 4 công trình kiệt xuất, đột phá, tiên phong, có tác động tích cực lên cuộc sống của hàng tỷ người trên trái đất. Lễ trao giải VinFuture đã trở thành sự kiện tâm điểm của giới khoa học toàn cầu và Việt Nam. Với hơn 3.000 tin bài trong nước và quốc tế, 1,6 triệu lượt xem trực tiếp và trực tuyến. Sự kiện lễ trao giải VinFuture đã góp phần nâng tầm vị thế đất nước Việt Nam trên bản đồ khoa học và công nghệ toàn cầu, kết nối cộng đồng khoa học công nghệ trong nước với các nhà khoa học hàng đầu thế giới. Những khoảnh khắc dâng trào của cảm xúc, đó là ấn tượng của sự chỉn chu đến từ sự đón tiếp nồng hậu mà trọng thị. Đó là sự hoàn mỹ của một sân khấu đẳng cấp và tinh tế. Đó là sự thăng hoa khi hội tụ tài năng hàng đầu quốc tế, nghệ sĩ John Legend huyền thoại của thế giới, tiếng đàn của thiên tài piano Đặng Thái Sơn cùng một Việt Nam mê hồn với áo dài, nón lá của nghệ sĩ ưu tú Linh Nga. Và đó là khoảnh khắc vỡ òa hạnh phúc của người được vinh danh chiến thắng. Với mỗi người Việt Nam, VinFuture còn là sự tự hào kiêu hãnh của dòng máu Việt. Khi lá cờ tung bay trong tiếng nhạc quốc ca, khi những biểu tượng văn hóa Việt, trống đồng, hoa sen được tôn vinh, khi kỷ niệm chương VinFuture được sản xuất hoàn toàn thủ công mạ vàng bởi nghệ nhân người Việt với hình tượng chữ V đầy ý nghĩa, và khi bằng khen của các nhà khoa học chiến thắng được sử dụng chất liệu giấy gió truyền thống như một lần nữa khẳng định những niềm tự hào chân quý của người Việt gửi tới bạn bè quốc tế. Nơi khoa học kiệt xuất gặp gỡ nghệ thuật đỉnh cao, nơi kết nối trí tuệ, trái tim và niềm tin của con người trên toàn thế giới, nơi người Việt Nam tự hào tôn vinh với những giá trị bản sắc văn hóa Việt với bạn bè quốc tế và liên tục vươn tới những đỉnh cao.
That's what we have in the first year of the VinFuture Prize, and we hope that we will have more beautiful moments like that this year. And it will start with your support in the nomination process, right? And right now, I would like to move to the sharing with the panelists. I would like to have some questions for our member of the pre-screening committee and also the prize council. The first question I would like to ask Professor Vivian Yang. I think that today we have a lot of nominators and nominators to be. So can you help us to tell all the audience about the importance of our nominators?
So thank you very much. I guess the nomination is one of the very important thing, particularly, I mean, in the first round, we also received some nominations where the nominator did not really speak out why they would like to nominate the person, even though the person has very strong CV. So that's why to prepare a very complete and a strong and convincing nomination is very important. For example, you want to look at the criteria for each of the prizes and try to justify and convince the panel why the person would deserve the prize. And actually, it's very easy in a way that you have a very nicely constructed nomination portal, and it's very easy to use. And actually, one can also download a template file and work on it offline, and this will help to save a lot of time and trouble. And at the end, you can just upload it, just like any other sort of global prizes.
Thank you very much, Professor Vivian Yang. I think that we have a lot of nominators to be here, and I want to focus one more time that if the VinFuture Prize is a journey, so all of you nominators are our starting points, and you will help us to build up the VinFuture Prize this year as a very important part. And the second question I would like to ask another member of our webinar's panelist today, Professor Monica Coulter. Is there any parts of the nomination, according to you, that you think is the most important to invest in? Please, Professor.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here. Yes, there are many parts of nominations that are really important, but you have to begin with the basics. You need some documents, you need the resume of the nominee or nominees, and it's really important. You need at least one endorsement letter from people who know the nominees work very well. You have a template for that, as Vivian said, so you can download it from the nomination portal, and optionally, you can also include a lot of information about the quality work. You have to convince the evaluation panel of the pre-screening committee that nominees, your nomination is worthwhile. So the most information you include about the quality of the work and how it relates to the goals of the prize is the most important thing in a nomination. So strong endorsement letters, complete endorsement letters are really important for the nomination.
Thank you, Professor Monica. And we will move to the next part with Professor Dang Wan Chi. He will give a brief introduction about the VinFuture Prize. But first, welcome back to our webinar series, Professor Dang Wan Chi. And today, a lot of nominators will be a little bit worried about the continuous increasing number of nomination submission. And can you help us to clarify the chance for every scientist with the VinFuture Prize? Please, Professor.
Great. Thank you very much. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome. So I'm delighted to give you a little introduction on the VinFuture Prize itself. As you've heard already, there are a number of different prizes that are selected each year. There's a grand prize value at $3 million to award annually for proven breakthrough research and technological innovations. And I just want to touch on maybe one of the questions that came up on the chat is that we want to celebrate any science or technology that has made a difference to humanity, that you heard already from the founder, making life more beautiful. So this includes any area of science, climate change, renewable energy, clean water, affordable food source, health, data science, you name it, but it has to be proven to have made a difference to the quality of human life. And then we also have 3 special prizes shown here. Innovators from developing countries. You did hear from the Kareems, the last winner of this particular award. Female innovators. This is designed to really recognize female scientists and innovators that are emerging to be, if you will, the highly impactful innovators. And then lastly, we also have as a category that's a little bit more open-ended, which is achievements in emerging fields. So this is a little bit more, if you will, predictive of what might be coming from these emerging fields. And I'll just give you one example, is that, for example, technology that could help harvest clean water, for example, was actually recognized last year, just to give you an example. So what makes the VinFuture Prize unique and different? Well, first, it's a global science and technology prize from Vietnam, first fund of this stature to be established in the Asia-Pacific region. It's open to any discipline that I already sort of articulated. Thirdly, it honors science and technology that creates and has a high potential to create meaningful change in everyday life. So this is truly not just science out of curiosity, but science have proven to make a difference or projected to make a difference. And then fourthly, it recognizes solutions and address real world problems. And I think I want to underscore that aligning of one or more of United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And I won't go through all the members of the Prize Council, which you actually can see on the website when you go there, but these are my distinguished colleagues and the council chair is Professor Richard Friend, who leads this group of 11 individuals. And really the hard work comes from the pre-screening committee that you've heard from 2 of the members, where they go through last year almost 600 nominations and then begin to really streamline and discuss on which of the one should go into the final pool for consideration. So this is quite a bit of work for this group. And again, this is the list of all the members of the pre-screening committee, and being mindful of the time so you can ask questions. I won't go through every one of them. So what about the nomination process? So we called for nominations in the middle of February. As you can see here, that in mid-May, which is a little bit about a month away, the nominations will be closed. Quite a bit of work then will be going on in the summer months by this pre-screening committee. And then there are meetings between the pre-screening committee and the council. And then we begin to do a pretty deep and intensive review in the months of October and November, and then coming up the final list for selection. And then, of course, you heard already that in early 2023, we will celebrate the winners. So who can be the prize nominators? Number 1, most importantly, no self-nominations. Number 2, nominators are from recognized organizations such as university, research institute centers, academies, scientific associations, corporations, and industry, and so on. But these are mostly individuals who have been invited because they are prominent individuals in their related field and leaders in their sector. Thirdly, both organization or institutional nominators as well as individual nominators can submit nominations online using the nomination form. And then importantly, this is a good for clarification that each nominator can nominate up to 4 nominations, but only 1 nomination for each prize category that I described previously. So what are the key nomination criteria? Again, it's open to any discipline in science, engineering, technology. It can be open to 1 individual or several individuals or 1 team of researchers and inventors, depending on the category. Thirdly, it's open to researchers and inventors who have involved in developing underlying solutions, that is the fundamental concept that has led to the implementation of the technology. Just to be clear, we don't look to award the implementation of the underlying solution, but really the people who actually innovate the underlying solutions, just to underscore that. Fourth, again, just to underscore again the alignment of the achievement to the 17 United Nations Sustainable Goal, and have a potential or have already proven to have an impact on a global scale. Solutions must be scientific proven. We will look at the evidence on whether it has really made an impact to really judge on whether it is the nomination is meritorious. There should be very clear evidence of the end product or the potential for an end product that will solve everyday practical problems. And then lastly, for the grand prize, particularly that it will have benefited millions of people, or for areas that are emerging that it may benefit millions of people. And then just to capture again, we had an exciting week following, preceding to the celebration itself. There was a number of symposia to celebrate science. That we have sessions on artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have one on global health and another one on renewable energy. So you can see the breadth of science that is being celebrated. And we're looking for any nominations that really celebrate any areas of science technology. And this is just a couple more images from the Science for Life Symposium. I already told you about the different topics. And after the ceremony, there was a very, very nice, heartwarming session, which was a dialogue with the VinFuture Prize laureates. And as you can see in the bottom left here, a young woman, Vietnamese, if you will, girl, very excited to meet the laureate, who's a female innovator, Professor Zenin Bao. And we hope that this young Vietnamese young lady will emerge to be one of the future winners. And I think this is the reason why the prize is being given out, is to really not only to celebrate science for humanity, but to really encourage young people to be scientists. And then this is just another couple of images of the scientific dialogue with the laureates. And these are the laureates themselves that we celebrated this past January. At the top here is Professor Carrico, Wiseman, and Cullis, who won the grand prize for the mRNA COVID vaccine. And then Professor Zenin Bao, I referred to, Professor Yagi, working on technologies that is very futuristic, but could harness water straight out of the atmosphere. And then you heard already earlier on Professors Karim, who won the prize for innovators from for developing countries. So that's, briefly, that's the description of the VinFuture Prize. Now, I think I'll turn it back to the foundation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Đặng Văn Chí. And I still want to focus one more time with the question, like if some of our nominators feel worried about the increasing number of the nominators and nomination drafted. So what will you tell them, and how can we clarify about the chance for everyone, every scientist?
Well, I think that the most important thing is that, there are many achievements out there, and I think it's really for the nominators on this meeting is for you to look at, your colleagues and see who are deserving. And I think that the only way they're going to be recognized and we can celebrate their discoveries and innovations is for you to step up and put the nomination in. And the only guideline I have that you heard, in addition to what you heard from the pre-screening committee members, is that the citation of accomplishment and impact is so important for us to look at. That is, you need to be able to succinctly demonstrate in brief sentences. Of course, you have all the documentation to really back up the citation, but really succinctly state what's the accomplishment, what's the impact, and what's the evidence of that impact. I think it's going to be greatly helpful to us.
Thank you. So we have keywords like Impact is a very important keyword for the nominations, and also the comprehensiveness will be the keywords for the nominators, right? Thank you very much, Professor Đặng Văn Trí. And now I think it's the time for us to get familiar with the submission process and requirements. And I would like to invite once again Dr. Ming Yang to walk our scientists through the most important parts of the submission. I know that the process is very clear, explained on our fan page and on our websites, but today it's the chance for us to make it clearer to all of our nominators and nominators to be. Please, Dr. Ming Yang.
Thank you, Chang. So it's me again. Hello, everyone. I am very pleased to walk you through some most important contents and of the nomination portal and nomination form. So first of all, about the nomination portal at online vinfutureprize.org/nomination. You can also scan the QR code you see on the screen now to open the nomination portal webpage. On this page, you can download the instructions and the endorsement letter template. In the instructions, you can find the complete nomination form where you can draft the nomination whenever you have time and then copy paste the draft into the online portal. There are 7 contents tabs at the nomination form, and I would like to call your kind attention to tab numbers 5 and tab number 7. So on tab number 5, you are invited to give your evaluation on the nominee's invention, including scientific fundamental knowledge, uniqueness and advancement of the invention. And then you are very kindly asked to provide the most significant social economic impacts of the invention, including number of the beneficiaries, for example, people, countries and continents. And please clarify how this invention has transformed or will potentially transform everyday lives of millions of people. And last but not least, please provide the history of the invention, for example, when and how the invention started, and who else except the nominees was involved in initiating or contributing to the invention. Then on tab number 7, about the supporting documentation and evidences, among the most important documents are the CV of the nominee and the endorsement letter. You can either attach the endorsement letter here at tab number 7, or you can provide 200 words for the endorsement at tab number 6. So if you have any questions or face any technical issues, please email us at secretariat@vinfutureprize.org. We will be more than happy to assist you in your nomination process and submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ming Yang. And I think that that's not everything about the nomination process. But if you have any other question, please don't hesitate and email us at the secretariat@vinfutureprize.org. And right now, I think it's time for the Q&A session. I can see that we have some questions for Professor Karim and also Professor Karesha, but due to the Thai schedule, they cannot be with us right now. So we will pass all of those questions for our professor and get the answer for you later after this webinar. Right now will be all the questions that you have put into the chat box and also the question that we have prepared and received before the webinar. So I will start with the first question. How detailed should the nomination be? Can you answer this question, Professor Vivian Yam?
Actually, if you could download from the nomination portal, the template, actually, there are boxes with word limit for you to elaborate on, as we have already mentioned that you have to highlight what is the impact, what's the breakthrough, discovery, and so on. And then as Monica also mentioned, there is also the endorsement letters. So it's important to bring out the best, because you have been nominating really top people, and you really want to sort of provide in the text box, as mentioned by Professor Chi, in terms of how important the impact is, what sort of breakthrough it will have. And I would strongly suggest that you really download the template and sort of work on it offline, because there are a number of things that will be asked. And you also have to upload the CV, endorsement letters, and maybe the most important publications or the patent. And also all these need to be supported by evidence. So you want to also upload some supporting information on maybe how widely used this, or how widely benefit this has bring about in terms of the impact. And also there are many other things. You also need to introduce your own self and why you believe the nominee would be the one that should deserve the prize and all that. So that's why it's best to work offline, because there are also work limit on boxes on different things, like whether there is any commercial implication and IP rights and all that. So you have to collect all these information beforehand, and then this will help to save the time for you to upload it into the portal.
Thank you very much, Professor Vivian. And great news, we have two special members of our family getting back to the conversation. Welcome back, Professor Salim and Professor Karaisha. And we have some questions for you. The first question from Dr. Margarita Segu. To Professor Karim, how do you think about life-changing science discoveries outside of medicine, such as climate change discoveries? Please, Professor.
Absolutely. I think good science will ultimately have the kinds of impact that will make the whole world a better place. And whether it's in medicine or in climate change or in energy conservation or biodiversity, it doesn't matter. I think ultimately good science speaks for itself. And as you've heard so very clearly, that in your nominations, please try and provide a very clear understanding of what the impact of your work is, because that's what will eventually make the difference. I think from a point of view of our work, we are focused on medicine, we are focused on infectious diseases, but that's just because of the area of focus of our research. Good research will win these prizes.
Thank you very much. Another question for you, to Professor. Is this remedy about your innovations that was awarded in the first VinFuture Prize, is this remedy only applicable to African women or to women generally?
So the basic idea of what we found was that using an antiretroviral drug known as tenofovir, we formulated it into a gel and did the study in humans, in women. But that was just laying the foundation. It was what is called proof of concept. Once we showed that antiretrovirals can prevent sexual transmission, it has now become very widely used. In fact, it's now one of the most commonly used HIV prevention technologies in men who have sex with men, for example. It's widely used also in injecting drug users. But our focus has been to still try and do better in terms of finding new technologies that women can use, because we'd like to find a new way to empower women, because they are the ones that bear the brunt of the epidemic in Africa. So yes, a good technology will have very widespread implications, even though our initial research was very narrowly focused.
And to add, I think, following our proof of concept, the pharmaceutical industry that had not been involved in women-initiated technologies, or generally in terms of prevention technologies, got more engaged. And so the whole landscape in the past decade has changed substantially. And now we have, beyond the daily tablets, monthly rings, 2 monthly injections, the possibility of 6 monthly injections, and even an annual implant, outside of the antibody work that we continue to work on as part of broadening the array of safe and efficacious interventions for everybody at risk of getting infected, regardless of the mode of transmission. And to echo the other piece, beyond our own research, is that the beauty of science is it's about taking humanity forward. And given all our challenges and constantly changing challenges, it could be in any discipline or facet. It is, what is it that needs to move us forward? And I was so excited to hear about the electric car that the VinFuture announcement that Manan made earlier about the factory in South Carolina. It's a part of the climate change issues, is about changing from fossil fuels and how do we reduce that. So there are, zillions of problems that we know and that we don't know. Science can contribute to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think that HIV, in a lot of developed countries right now, we do not mention about it as much as we did. But in a lot of developing countries, it's still a very serious problem that we really need to fight against, and that's why we really appreciate your innovations with what you have done and what you're gonna do in the future. And regarding HIV, I have another question for you from Professor Adebayo Adeloye. HIV is the most prevalent among sexually active homosexuals, and these are very rare in African societies. Are you addressing this in your studies or works?
While our own research has focused largely on women, and we have been studying the individual intricacies at a molecular level about why HIV has a predilection for the cells in the mucosa in women, our research has very widespread implications, including in high-risk groups such as men who have sex with men. And so our research has very broad implications and has impacted across the board.
Thank you very much, Professor Salim Karim and Professor Qureisha Karim. I think that what we have done together for the 2021 award ceremony and your contribution have tremendously contributing to the understanding more about the situation in the world and in developing countries, and that's what we are very proud of as well. Thank you very much again. So there are many questions online, and I think that our respected nominators and nominators to be also have direct questions to the panel. Please unmute yourself and ask your questions direct to the members of the pre-screening committee and the prize council. Please go ahead. If you have any question, please. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and ask questions to Professor Chi, Professor Vivian Yam, and Professor Monia Kora. Yeah, please, Professor Francosa Okele, please.
Yes, please. Thank you for inviting me as a nominator. I've been wondering if it is, I'm Francisca Nek-Okeke, Professor of Physics, and the laureate of Laureate UNESCO Award for Women in Science for 2013. I've been in other jury, I have been jury member for many other awards, but I think this one is quite different. So I need to get some clarifications. One, are we to get this criteria in our mails so that we can sit down, read and digest them, so that I don't want any mistake on my own part. And also, because I know I have gathered some facts from what you have said on the criteria, but I would have loved, if it's possible, this be posted in our email so that we can sit down and then apply where possible so that we don't make mistakes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, please, if Professor Chi, Professor Yam, and Koda can address the question from Professor Okele.
I can very quickly. I think that you can get. You already heard before. I think you get all of the very tremendous amount of details at the portal, and it's easily downloadable. And I think there's also a worksheet, as Professor Yam already referred to, that you can really download and then work on it. I think it's quite detailed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, thank you. If you have any technical issue in downloading the forms at our nomination portal, please drop us an email at secretariat@vinfutureprize.org. We will be very happy to assist you. We can send you the forms by email so that we can work on that offline, and then when you go online, you can easily copy paste into the portal. So it will save a lot of your time. You can nominate someone in your free time as well, even sitting in a garden or sitting, outside on the beach, and you can do that without the internet. Okay, so please email us. Thank you. Thank you, Professor. All right, we still have time for your direct questions. Please unmute yourself and ask questions. Thank you. Okay. So we have here the very interesting questions coming in from Dr. Ellen Steinhauer. She asked, the form refers to inventions. What if the research is about a medical discovery and changing testing, treatment, for example? Please, Professor Vivian Yam, could you please take the question? I'm repeating, the form refers to inventions. What if the research is about a medical discovery and changing testing, treatment?
Yeah, actually, any inventions could be nominated, right? So, but it has to be impactful and sort of benefit as many people as possible. So there's no restriction on what sort of inventions that you would nominate. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. We have a very, very interesting question from Professor Adebayo Adeloye. It seems to me that the panelists are majorly from medicine and medical sciences. Do other disciplines have a chance? Please, Professor Monica Koda, could you please address the question?
Thank you. Certainly. I'm a physicist, so I'm in the panel, and we have all sorts of expertises in the panel. But it is I want to stress out, maybe I didn't in my former response, is that the social impact of whatever discovery or invention you've made, either a medical protocol or, for example, inventing a technology like something that enabled another technologies, that is the social impact, how many people it addressed, and what is the basic discovery that you want to nominate for it. So this connection between the science, as Professor Chi said, Crane said, the good science generates good social impact. That science generates social impact. Sometimes it takes a few years, sometimes it takes decades. But if you do good science, then you have social impact. So the nomination has to do this connection, and the committees have all kinds of exercises, but it's not hard to identify the social impact, even if you're not in your area of expertise. So you can be completely, relaxed about it, because there's no problem with this competition.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you very much. As long as Professor Koda is here with us, there's another question that needs your expertise. Is self-nomination allowed?
No, you cannot self-nominate yourself. There is obviously a conflict of interest here. So, but likewise, you cannot serve as a nominator and be a member of the research team that you nominate. Okay. However, if, for example, your institution nominates a group of scientists within your institution, that is not considered a self-nomination. And on the other hand, you can nominate any researcher or inventor from your own organization, provided that the nominated project, invention, or solution does not include yourself in the team. So you just have to go to the basic ethics of the academics, so you don't self-nominate.
Thank you. Thank you for making it clear. I think that Professor Denis Kokinos has a question for our Prize Council and Pre-Screen Committee. Please, Professor.
Thank you very much. It was just answered. It was just answered that as regards collaborations among institutions, I think it is quite correct that we do not nominate somebody from our own team, but we can nominate somebody from our institution who works in a different field. I think it was answered very clearly. Thank you very much, and thank you for this excellent organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We got a lot of motivation from your confirmation. We have an exciting question for Professor Chi. In the event of a nominator becoming someone else's nominee, what happens? Professor Chi, Prize Council member, please.
I think this is related to the last question, which is, as long as it's not self-nomination, certainly some of the nominations sometimes are done, if you will, confidentially. So even the nominee may not know they're being nominated in some instances. And if it happens that, you're nominating somebody else, but you're somebody else's nominee, I believe that's perfectly acceptable.
Thank you, Professor Chi. We have a very interesting question from Professor Albert Chang. Potential impact is often difficult to gauge accurately. Does this imply that when considering different colleagues to nominate, those whose work have already proven impact would, on balance, have a higher chance of receiving the award? Please, Professor Chi, could you please address the question?
So I think we have a special category called emerging technologies, and that's where I think, members of the pre-screening council can also comment, but that's really the category. We're looking for innovations that have not yet proven to have made an impact, but projected to make an impact. I think that maybe the best way to characterize it would be, is it a technology or innovation or invention, whatever you want to call it, that is addressing one of the 17 issues by the United Nations, right? So if you're looking at food, affordable food source, and you're working on it very heavily, and it is potentially impactful, and it's very innovative, it may or may not work, but at least it's a great idea addressing one of those big problems that can impact millions of people. I think that's what we're celebrating. And it is a matter of judgment, obviously, because we're looking into the future and not what has been accomplished.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Professor Chi. I think that we have addressed quite a number of very interesting questions. If we do not have enough time for the questions today, we would be very happy to address your questions later by email. So please email us at secretariat@vinfutureprize.org. We are always there for you, and we hope that if you have any questions or technical issues you face, please let us know. Thank you very much for your time spending with us, and thank you very much for your attention and kind attitude to the foundation. We would like to thank you very much also to our chair and co-chairs and our inaugural laureates, who are today the inspirers for the whole Europe and the whole world. Once again, thank you very much. We would like for you to open your camera so that we can take a group photo, and we would be very happy to send you the group photo later by email. Thank you. Please open your camera. All right. So our
Great
people.
News that today we have almost 100 people
Oh my
in
God.
our webinars.
So we have more than 100 people. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so our people are now taking pictures from every angle, so please smile.
1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you, everyone, and we hope that we have addressed your questions. And I really wish you to get ready to submit on time to the foundation by May 17th.
Yeah.
And if you still have any question, don't hesitate to send us any question that you want to address.
And by the way, I just want to reveal one last secret for today. We will have a very interesting newsletter sent to you. So please expect that from us, and please read that. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye for now. See you again. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.